Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, just hello, how are you? I am gonna do another true crime and makeup today. I am drinking my cold brew. I already filmed this intro twice now. Somehow my camera keeps turning off on me, like, girl, we're not friends today, I guess. I am drinking some really good cold brew. You guys know coffee is my jam, so make sure you grab your snack, your drink, whatever you want to drink, coffee, soda, water, wine, whatever you guys want to drink, grab it. Let's go through a true crime story together. So today we're talking about the Lululemon case, which is crazy, and something horrific definitely happened there, and we're going to talk all about it. And I'm excited to be reporting on this case. It's a crazy one and definitely shocked me. It has some twists and turns at the end, so let's get into it. Okay, so for today's case, we are going to Bethesda, Maryland. So we are talking about Lulu. This whole thing, this whole situation happened in the Lululemon store. Now, if you guys aren't familiar what Lululemon is, let me just like quickly fill you in like I'm filling in these brows. So Lululemon is a are we already starting out bad with the speech impediment thing? Lululemon is a athletic leisure kind of wear store, athletic wear. My girls that are like to be active know what Lululemon is. Let's just say it's very higher upper end, kind of uppity. The yoga pants and stuff range from like $100 up, so you guys get what kind of store it is. It is definitely a more high class yoga pants store. Now, me personally, I have not bought anything from Lululemon. I do like to walk a lot and get my little walk on with the kids. If you guys follow me on my other channel, you guys know that, but I have not bought any pairs of Lululemon anything just because their prices are expensive, but I do probably think it's worth it. I love good quality stuff, so hey, I mean, while I was researching this case, you best believe I was looking up Lululemon stuff, and they do have some cute stuff. Besides the point though, let's get into what actually happened. So Jana Murray and Brittany Norwood were found in the back of a Lululemon store on a Friday in 2011 in Bethesda, Maryland. They were found brutally attacked and murdered in the back of the store in Lululemon on a Friday, 2011 in Bethesda, Maryland. Now, they were found by their manager that was coming in for the next shift of that next morning, because these ladies closed the night before, so these events all kind of occurred over this closing time. And yeah, so the manager walks in and she's like noticing that things are kind of off and out of place, right? Like, as she moves further and further to the back of the store, she's just like, what is going on? Things look like they got ransacked, kind of like they've been robbed. There was a TV that was smashed, there was like mannequins, like stuff knocked over, and the store was starting to look really sus, and like, what the hell has gone on here last night? Like, did they have a party? Like, what? The store is not looking like it's supposed to look. The manager's name is Rachel, and she is like, okay, so something's just not right here. Let me get up out of here. And she went out the store, and they have an Apple store right next to this Lululemon store, and the manager out there sees Rachel kind of like looking kind of distraught, and you know, something's not right. So the manager kind of asked her like, do you need help? And he was outside queuing for the Apple store, because there's one like right next door. Queuing meaning there was an Apple product launching, the iPad 2, I believe, back then. So this is in 2011, so it's like a little ways away. So he was queuing for the launch. It was literally launching that day. He sees Rachel and he's like, what's going on? Like, can I help you? Do you need help? Because she just looked like, you know, worried, upset. And she hasn't really seen anything yet. She just knows that something's not right, something's wrong. So he goes in the store. So he kind of peeks his head in and finds that, you know, something's looking a little off. a little sus, and he ends up going to the back and seeing a pretty terrible sight. He basically sees two girls all bloody, and he really can't like recognize faces, and especially Jana. Jana was up, you guys. Jana was, poor Jana. So he couldn't recognize like their faces or anything like that, but he could see that something was definitely wrong and things were just not looking right. So he runs out the store and he's like, yeah, something has happened here. So what the Apple store person sees is basically Brittany Norwood. Her hands are tied up above her head, and she has ripped clothes. Her clothes are all like ripped up, which is like, what the hell, and like blood all over her. Jana's clothes were ripped too, and there was blood all over her, and it was to the point where you couldn't even see her blonde, like she was a blonde, and you couldn't even tell that she was a blonde. That's how much like blood was there pooling from her head. And it's just honestly super devastating. I can't even imagine seeing something like that. Like, oh my god. So he can't even make them out. He said that they were like unrecognizable, especially Jana. Jana was alive the whole attack. She endured over 331 wounds, you guys. Like, that is insane. That's so many wounds, like defensive wounds, just wounds in general. They also found a lot of different tools with blood on them that had been in the store, a part of the store, like the store's property, that the killer used to use on the women. And yeah, so that was crazy. A whole bunch of tools, just all nasty, like bloodied up. And yeah, she suffered over 331 wounds. Like, that is insane to me. And she was alive the whole time except for the very last wound that Jana suffered from, which was a spinal cord severed right in the back of her neck. Now, the coroners know this because all of her other injuries, like bruised in some kind of way. There was still her heart beating and there was still blood flow at the time. So she definitely, the last wound was the one that like did her in. So a little bit about Jana. I love to go back and talk about their past. I just feel like that's so important, just to kind of understand what happened and why. Not excusing anyone's behavior or anything, but I just think it's important to kind of know why people do the things that they do and what kind of led up to this point. And you know, also just talk about the victims and a little bit about them. Jana was born November 22nd of 1980, so she was an 80s baby. I can't even imagine what it would be like born in the 80s. I feel like that would be so fun. So everyone that knew Jana said she was very smart, she was beautiful, she was athletic, she never gave up, she was a great problem solver, like one of the best. Anytime they would have a problem, they would just go to Jana and ask, and the problem usually would get solved. So she was a really good overall woman, and everybody seemed to like her. So her dad was a veteran and her mom was a flight attendant, which ended up leading Jana to travel more kind of around the world, which I think is so cool and amazing. So Jana traveled some as she was growing up. So she ended up studying abroad, which is also so cool. She went to France and she went to Spain. She ended up graduating with the International Business and Marketing license. Like, you go girl. She was doing her thing in college. Like, college is really hard. I did a little bit of nursing school and was like, oh my god, am I gonna survive this? Life got too hard though and I had to drop out. So Jana, you did your thing, girl. You were in school. That's amazing. So Jana met her best friend in college, which ended up introducing her to Lululemon, which is how she ended up getting there anyway. I believe this was abroad though. So Jana worked at a different store before she actually ended up at the store in Bethesda, Maryland. She ended up working at the Lululemon store and everybody just loved her, and she loved Lululemon and she was just happy working there. She was already a really athletic person and very adventurous. She would like go on all kinds of cool looking trips and do all kinds of fun things. So Lululemon was really just like up her area. So let's talk a little bit about Brittany and Brittany Norwood's like past and kind of where she came from. So Brittany Norwood was born May 19th, 1982. She had 5 siblings, and her parents like worked a lot, so I don't think she really saw them that much. She did live in a middle class area, so it wasn't like a bad area or anything. So she grew up nice, like middle class. Her family seemed to be really close from the interviews and stuff that I was watching, which is, you know, really good. It's always good to have a good close family unit. However though, Brittany used to have a thing. I don't know why this was a thing for her, but you know, no one's perfect. Everybody has their flaws, right? She used to like to steal, and it was noticed as she was growing up. Her neighbors used to notice when she would come over. I guess her sister would babysit for the neighbors, and when she would come over with her sisters, they would notice things would go missing. So then her sister, I think, ended up losing her babysitting jobs over that, which is not cool, Brittany. Not cool. Now, the neighbors never had any like solid proof, of course, of this, but I mean, you know, if people come over and then suddenly things are like missing all the time, you're gonna start like suspecting them, obviously. So that's kind of what happened. So her sister was booted from that job. Now, Brittany was a really good student, really smart, really bright, and she loved to play soccer. So she was really athletic as well, which also kind of coincides with how she ended up working at Lululemon. Her soccer team loved her, but again, you guys, things were just not going right. She just why did I just like... Things were just not going right again with her and her little stealing habit. The girl had some sticky fingers, like always in everybody's ish. Like, I don't know what it was about her and stealing, but the girl, she liked to steal. She liked to steal. The soccer team started noticing the same things, that things were starting to go missing, and no one knew why, but the common denominator was always Brittany. They just kind of put 2 and 2 together and noticed that when she was around, things would go missing in the locker room, and like money, perfume, things like that. And of course, no one wants that around them. So they end up telling the soccer coach or whoever and letting them know, like, hey, things have been going missing when Brittany is here, so kind of like check that out, keep an eye on that. And she ends up getting kicked from the soccer team. Did I mention that she played soccer like all throughout her school years, and the team that she got kicked off of was a college team, and so she lost her whole scholarship, and that was just down the toilet. She messed up. So when she got kicked off the soccer team, unfortunately, she was only 11 credits away from graduating. I would be so pissed. Like, she has no one else to be pissed at. Well, it's just herself though, because old girl was up here just taking everybody's stuff, and I don't really understand why, because it's not like she didn't have any money, or, you know, I mean, I don't know her circumstances, I don't know her, but like, damn, it just doesn't seem like she needed to steal. So she got some kind of like weird maybe satisfaction obviously from it, because she used to steal all the time as a kid too. Brittany's dreams are crushed, right? She messed up, and now she can't play soccer anymore, and her scholarship at the Stony Brook University is just done. Like, what is she gonna do now? What is Brittany gonna do now? When your life kind of falls apart, I feel like you just have to pick up the pieces, and that's what Brittany does. She just moves forward, and she kind of just accepts that, okay, I messed up, I need to like find something else to do. So that's what she does. So she ends up working like a few random jobs and stuff in between before she finally gets a job at Lululemon. So she works a few random jobs, and she meets this dentist guy. Like, okay, hey, she met a dentist, and she was, I think, working for him for a while, and then ends up dating him. So she dates him for a while, and things go south, because Brittany has some kind of, I don't know what's wrong with this girl, but Brittany ends up kind of just ruining the relationship. I think she ended up lying to him or something about graduating college, and I think he found out, as well as some other stuff. I think he was stealing from her. This is like alleged, but these are things that I was reading that was reported. I don't know, but long story short, doesn't work out with this guy. He ends up getting a restraining order on her because she just can't accept the breakup. He ends up dating somebody else, and Brittany just loses it, and she just can't control it. So Within 2 weeks of the restraining order, she ends up violating it and going and breaking into the couple's house, like him and his girl, and steal a whole bunch of stuff. And I think she leaves him alone after that because she probably realizes it's just not worth the trouble. But old girl she's just doing some out here crazy stuff. So anyway, so Brittany moves on with her life. So she's still really athletic and she wants to continue that in her life. So where is my lash glue? Brittany wants to continue being really athletic and active in her life. So she seeks out personal training, and that's what oh my gosh. Stop making up words, Noelle. So she seeks out personal training and she ends up getting a job with Lululemon, I guess because she was a personal trainer. And this was also at a different store than the Bethesda store that she was at when all this stuff happened. Anyways, so okay, I had to put powder under my eyes. I know I'm looking crazy, like I have like what's going on. I have to bake the under eye because I'm using glitter. You guys will see, just trust the process. Okay, so she starts working at Lululemon and she gets fired after, this is the first store that she worked at. So she gets fired after low-key stealing from the store. I'm telling you, I don't know what it is with her and stealing, but she ends up stealing from the store, which is not cool. So I guess they get like some kind of yearly allowance at the Lululemon store. I worked at Victoria's Secret for a really short time. It was not a fun time, but you get like an allowance at a lot of these like retail stores, and or a good discount. But I guess they got like some kind of cool allowance up to $1,000 they got to spend on their clothing, which is really like 5 items almost, right? No, just kidding. It's probably like close to 10. So they got this allowance, and Brittany Norwood asked the manager if she can go over just like a little bit, like a few dollars. No, honey. Brittany ends up going over by $1,200. $1,200. Like, what was she thinking? Did she really think she wasn't gonna get like caught or in trouble for that? Like, my girl, $1,200 is a lot. So she ends up getting in trouble for that, and the manager gets in trouble and is like, okay, this girl is just like she's not worth it. So she ends up getting fired. And then I don't know how she did this, but she wrote to HR and was like, excuse me, other people have done this too. Like, why am I getting fired when other people have done this too? So she ends up somehow convincing them to let her come back. So she comes back and she ends up getting transferred to another store, and that's what happened. And that's how she ended up at the Bethesda store. Okay, so I hope the audio is better. I had to turn off my humidifier that I left on. My bad. Brittany is now at the new store in Bethesda, Maryland, and you know, things are going good. Everybody loves her. Everybody's getting along, supposedly. I don't know, I wasn't there. Just report on the crimes. But according to everybody, they're saying that they all got along. Everything was fine. Child, when you work with glitter, I swear it's just everywhere. It's such a pest, but it's so pretty. I always hated working with glitter, but I love it at the same time because it's so sparkly, so pretty. Anyways, so Brittany's at the new store. She's getting along with everybody and everyone's having a good time. They all like her, and that's really that. But what do you guys think happens next? What does Brittany do to mess it up? You're right. You guessed stealing. You're just completely right. Like, Brittany starts stealing again. So she's stealing cash and I think perfume and stuff as well out of the people's purses in the locker room. Like, hasn't this girl learned, like, her neighbors, the soccer team, and then the other store that she stole from, and then now this store? I don't understand. The girl does not learn her lesson. So Brittany steals again. And, you know, they started noticing things are going missing. Now, they didn't want to believe it was Britney because they all liked her so much and, you know, didn't want to get her in trouble. And no one wanted to confront her. And, of course, no one was for sure that she was the one stealing from people. But they all had their suspicions and talked to the manager. Now Jana was kind of onto her already, and she said she was going to get to the bottom of it. They closed together that night, and Jana was like, okay, like, I'm going to, you know, just kind of vet it out and just see. And they were going to just kind of wait and see if they could find any evidence that Britney was the one stealing. They kind of had their suspicions, but they weren't sure. They weren't for sure. Didn't have any solid, concrete evidence that caught her like red-handed. So it was time to close the store. And usually when you work in a retail store, if you have where they have merchandise, they usually do like a bag check. I used to hate the bag check, but anyways, it's necessary. You definitely need to do it. I've worked with employees before that were stealing, so I think that a bag check is absolutely necessary if you have merchandise in your store. So they have this policy, and that's what they do. Jana and Brittany, like I said, were closing this night, and so she needed to bag check Brittany, just like a normal procedure. So she sees inside of, well, first of all, Brittany didn't want to do a bag check, and Jana was like, no, like I need to see what's in this bag. So she looks in the bag and she sees a purchase of like some yoga cropped leggings or something, and she's like, okay, like, do you have the receipt for it? And Brittany's like, oh no, like I threw it out. So naturally Jana's like, okay, well, no problem. I can just, you know, look it up tomorrow in the system on the computer. So that's what she tells her. And then, you know, Brittany's telling her, like, gave her the name of the coworker that supposedly rang her up for these leggings. And she, yeah, so they just kind of leave it at that. They close up the store and they go home for the night, or they head home for the night. Now, Jana starts heading to her car, and Brittany Norwood starts heading towards like the train station, because I guess she takes the train home. And so now Jana ends up calling her, how did it go? Jana goes to her car and Brittany goes to the train station, so that's where they're headed. They're separate ways, and Jana calls the employee that Brittany claims rang her up for the leggings, and she, you know, like rings her up, and she just wants to corroborate Brittany's story and see what's up with that, just to make sure, you know, she did ring her up for those leggings. And the coworker says no, just flat out, like, no, I did not ring her up for leggings. So it was clear that Brittany had stolen the leggings, and yeah, so Brittany is caught. Homegirl is caught. So after this, then Jana hangs up the phone and calls her like general like store manager, because I think, you know, she's a manager, but there's always someone above you in corporate, and, you know, just the overall store manager. She was probably like a shift manager. So she calls the manager and she's like, oh yeah, like, so Brittany is stealing. I just caught her with these leggings. She has no receipt. I called the so-and-so up and she said no, like I didn't ring her up. So they're like, okay, she's gone, she's fired, she's done. That's what the manager says on the phone. And so that's really the end of that. She says that Brittany is gonna be fired. And I mean, like, rightfully so, right? Like, she is stealing some $100 yoga pants. Like, girl, what are you doing? And I'm sure Brittany knows at this point, like, she's caught. So Brittany ends up calling Jana up and she's like, hey, I forgot my wallet. Like, I need to get inside of the store and get it because my train ticket is on it, and my train ticket is in my wallet, and I need to get on the train to go home. So Jana's like, okay, no problem. I guess she forgot her laptop too, so she's just kind of like, whatever, like, no problem, I'll let you in. So they end up going back into the store and looking for this wallet, and it's taking a minute to find it, is what Brittany says. It takes a minute to find it. Now, Brittany tells the police that when they went back into the store for her wallet, that they left the front door open, and two men came in the store in all black with masks, gloves, the whole nine, just all, you know, unrecognizable. Basically, you couldn't recognize them. They were covered up. And so Brittany claims that, you know, they left the door open because they were just supposed to be in and out kind of thing, just looking for her wallet, and that these men came in and just like started attacking them. Now, they said that the taller one took Jana into the back and tied her up, and that's basically what happened. She didn't really know. She just heard Jana screaming, and it was just kind of bad from there. And the other guy that was left with Brittany told her to like open the register, kind of like, you know, they're being robbed, it's a robbery. So Brittany claims that that's what she does. She opens the register, but she also claims that like she was beat up pretty bad, so she can't remember any kind of, you know, she can't really recall the situation, which is a little sus, but you know, it can happen. Injuries can make you lose memory, right? Especially if it's like to the head, or just tragedy in general can just kind of make you forget. So Brittany said that she was hit in the head so hard that she just couldn't remember. But she clearly remembers being sexually assaulted and tied up and all of that. There was a size 14 bloody footprint like all throughout the store. And so that was one of the main clues that the police had to go on, is this bloody footprint. So it was size 14. So that's a big old shoe. That's a huge shoe. Like, I don't even think I know anyone that wears a size 14. Like, that's a big shoe. And it also looked like someone tried to clean the shoe and just gave up because it was just like too hard to clean. I mean, come on, let's be real. Blood is really hard to clean out of anything, let alone a shoe. Like, probably all soaked up in the material and you don't have all the right cleaning stuff to do it. That would be really hard. So it looked like someone tried to clean it, but they still found a lot of traces of blood on it. Now, just like pause just a little bit. Like, my one question here is like, why didn't the store have surveillance cameras inside? Because they definitely didn't have it inside. The Apple store next to the Lululemon store had surveillance, of course, because Apple is like, no, nothing's gonna get stolen from us, right? Like, Apple's not playing, so they have the surveillance footage on their store inside and out. But yeah, they didn't have any surveillance footage, which I think is so strange, inside the store, or like generally just like right outside, but the Apple store did. So the police started reviewing the Apple store footage, their CCTV footage, and they see on the footage clearly that the Apple employees next door could hear something going on, like screaming, yelling, and just something was happening at the store. And they didn't really get involved because they just thought it was like some drama, someone just like mad for whatever reason. So they don't get involved, unfortunately, or they don't really say anything until police come to them and question them. So they don't say anything, and you can see on the CCTV footage that they clearly hear something. They definitely hear something going on in the store next door. Now, this is me kind of going back a little bit and explaining that when the police came and investigated the situation after the police were called, that Brittany was alive and had a few superficial wounds, and Jana was obviously gone. She was injured really badly and had, like I said, over 331 injuries, but Brittany Norwood had like a big gash on her head and like a few other cuts, like scratches and stuff like that. And yeah, so the police review the footage from the outside of Apple. They see two men walking kind of like by the store around the time of the murder, just like Brittany said. So that's adding up. They're like, okay, we need to find these men. So they end up doing like a old-fashioned kind of like stakeout. I don't know, like they end up doing that and staking out the area and kind of just seeing if they see anybody like coming back and forth around the store, like maybe like coming back to their crimes or whatever. So that's what the police do. And I think shortly after, they were able to see that there was two men in black, and they found them, they questioned them just walking by the store. Now it turns out that these men were just getting off of work from the restaurant down the street, and the all black uniform was just their uniform. So, you know, their story added up. They were just getting off of work, and they always just walk by the store because that's their way, you know, it's on their way home. So now they have like no leads, no suspects. They're just kind of like, okay, what now? So when the police talked to the Apple employees, they said that they heard two female voices. And again, remember Brittany said that there was two men in there, and they heard two female voices only. There was definitely no men in there saying, quote, talk to me, please talk to me, why won't you tell me? And then the second voice said, quote, aren't you supposed to say end quote? So, quote, talk to me, please talk to me, why won't you tell me, end quote. And then the second person said, quote, oh God, please help me, and end quote. So that is what the two female voices were saying that the Apple employees heard. And I still don't understand why they didn't call or get involved at this point. But anyways. So the killer used several weapons that were in the store. Now this is also kind of odd because think about it. Someone that's gonna go there intentionally to hurt somebody, like why would they just straight up use what's in the store? Like what if there was no weapons to be used in the store? So it's kind of weird. It seems like, you know, it wasn't planned, but I'm pretty sure like a killer is gonna bring their own weapons, no? Like, right? So that was kind of weird to the police. They're kind of like, okay, all of the tools that were used are from the store already, so how would the killer know that these things were already here to be used to kill somebody? That's pretty sus. So some other crazy things that happened that just weren't adding up when they started really looking at the evidence are the size 14 shoe prints. Now the bloody footprints were kind of like nicely, you know, displayed. They weren't just like naturally put there, which is also kind of weird. Now think about it. If there was a struggle, the footprints would definitely be overlapping and it would be looking like a mess, right? It wouldn't look like all perfect and laid out. There was no footprints really overlapping like there was a real struggle, at least of the size 14. There looked like there were some bloody footprints, like smaller footprints underneath of the size 14 shoe. Someone's playing music. Okay, I'm gonna put some blush on today, which I don't typically wear, but I think we're gonna do a little bit of blush. Now the size shoe that was 14 that they found, the bloody footprint, also belonged to the store, which was also really weird. Like, okay, like what's going on with that? Why was the shoe from the store? It was one of their model shoes that they used, you know, to be able to try things on and stuff with. So that is a little crazy that it turns out that was the shoe model store. It wasn't even like someone else's shoe. And why would they leave their shoe, which is also very strange. Now the police ended up finding Jana's car about 3 blocks away, and inside of her car, like 3 blocks away from where her normal parking spot was. And so that was like, okay, she usually parks here, but she's parked over here for some reason. So they go in her car, they take everything for evidence, and what do they find in the car? They find a hat with blood on like the sweatband part, like, you know, like the up part up here. Now the blood ended up matching Britney's wounds, because remember she had a wound right here, like on her forehead, that looked pretty nasty. And so that was really crazy that it matched up exactly like the sweatband, and it was Britney's blood that they tested on the hat, and it was definitely Britney's. So her hat that had blood on it was in Jana's car. So how did that get there? As well as some blood on like the gear shift, I believe, as well, in Jana's car. Now a security guard reported that at 12 a.m. he saw someone moving Jana's car. He saw somebody in it, which is also like, what the hell? Okay. So the security guard couldn't really like confirm who it was though. So that wasn't, I mean, it was helpful, but not like super helpful. So the police just keep looking at the evidence, and they're just noticing like this shit is just not matching up. So we need to find out like really what's going on here. And just the simple fact that Jana's injuries were completely just, they were lethal. Like, she ended up passing away, and Britney, like, why did they let Britney survive? It's just weird, right? Like, Britney only had that one bad gash on her forehead, and then all of her other wounds were pretty superficial, and like, she's gonna heal from in a few weeks, like, really not a problem. I am like not used to this blush. Like, how am I feeling? But yeah, so all of her wounds were pretty superficial, and the police also thought that was really strange. Like, girl, like, why? Why did they let you live and not let her live? So Brittany, you know, out of nowhere kind of just comes and she's like, okay, like, I remember something. So she volunteers this evidence, and she's talking to police in the investigation room, and she tells them that she remembers that she had been tortured for hours by these men in black, right? And that they told her to go move Jana's car or else they would kill her too. So she ends up going at like 12 in the morning and moving her car, just like the security guard ended up saying he saw somebody. And it's also strange because Brittany says that she did see a police officer, and a police officer saw her, actually, like a patrol person saw her around that time moving the car. And the police officer didn't think it was really weird, but he took note of it, that she was out there moving a car at like 12 a.m. or so. Now, Brittany knows she saw the police officer too. But if these men in black told you to move the car, wouldn't you like run to the police officers and be like, sir, like, I need your help. I need your help. There's men in black in there. They just probably like killed my friend and I need some help. Like, save me, help. No, what does Brittany do? She said she was too scared. She moved the car and she goes back into the store. She goes back into the store where the killers are. That makes no sense, girl. Like, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? Where are those college smarts at? Because that is, to me, is not smart. I would definitely have went for help, and that just doesn't make any damn sense. So you're gonna go back in with the killers? Okay, Brittany. So the police also ran a DNA test on the girls because Brittany says that they were sexually assaulted with coat hangers, which is absolutely terrifying. Like, oh, I can't even imagine that. But that's what Brittany claims, that they were sexually assaulted with coat hangers. So the DNA results come back that like nobody was sexually assaulted during this whole attack. So that's another strike against Brittany. Like, why is this girl lying? Like, so police are onto her, like, okay, something's just not right. The evidence is just not matching up like at all here. And you know, they didn't want to believe that Britney did it because they really thought like she was a victim. And, you know, they kind of treaded lightly when it came to trying to figure out more information. But eventually the police kind of just had it and were like, listen, okay, we know something is going on here. Like, I need you to tell me what's really going on. So the police end up bringing in her mom, but I guess her mom was really upset, so she had to leave. But they brought in her brother that was also there as well. And hold on, let me set her real quick. Anyways, so they brought her brother in, and her brother's like, do you know anything about this? Like, what's going on? I need you to talk to me. Tell me, girl, what's up? So she ends up telling him, like, I don't want to talk about it here, like whispering to him, like, okay, the police at this point are like, okay, so you did this, like, what's going on? You don't want to talk about it. And they're being recorded, of course. Police are listening to this whole conversation, and she's just kind of like, oh, like, I don't really want to talk about it kind of situation. I'll talk to you more when I get out of here. So police are like, okay, she obviously, homegirl knows something. She knows something. So she was arrested basically right after that. And she was charged with first-degree murder. Her lawyer said that she just randomly did it and it wasn't premeditated at all. But Jana had 331 injuries to her body. That's a long time to really stop and think about like what she was doing. Like, I know this is like a big twist. Britney was the one who ended up doing all of this. If you didn't kind of gather that while I was telling you all the evidence, like, a girl was sus and honestly wasn't the smartest about the situation, but she had a lot of time to stop and think about what she was doing, why she was doing it. 331 like wounds. and she was alive for like the whole time until the very end. And I think she even tried to get Jana tried to leave, and Brittany pulled her back in and started attacking her again. The investigators said that the whole attack at least lasted about 15 minutes. So 15 minutes of just pure attacking someone, it might not seem like a long time, but girl, that's a long time. 15 minutes of just assaulting someone like really bad with all these different weapons that were already in store. So they said it lasted about 15 minutes, and the final blow that like made her pass away, the fatal blow, was a stab wound to the neck that severed her spinal cord. And like I said a lot earlier, that they knew that she was alive during all of these injuries because they bruised in some kind of way, and that means there was still blood flow, meaning her heart was still beating. So with that being said, like she had all these opportunities to stop and think what she was doing, and she didn't. She was convicted of first-degree murder January 26th, 2012. She was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. She tried to appeal and it didn't work. So let's talk a little bit about Britney staging the crime scene. Now, she staged the hell out of that whole crime scene by trashing the store, you know, tying herself up, and she broke a TV in the store. She even soaked up blood on paper towels and put it in the bathroom to try to, like, you know, make it look like it wasn't her. She soaked up Jana's blood with paper towels and did that. Like, sick. Also she had bite marks on the zip ties that she was tied up in, and also just the way her hands were like tied up above her head was also really suspicious. Like, who does that? So it was kind of weird with that too. But yeah, they found bite marks on the zip ties that were used to tie Jana up, and she tied herself up with her teeth. And then also the forehead injury. How did she get that? The forehead injury was literally from her using some kind of weapon to assault Jana with, and she ends up hitting herself in the forehead. Like, she ended up hurting herself, which, you know, does end up happening when these cases happen. A lot of injuries can happen from just the attack itself, and the attacker sometimes gets attacked or cut or whatever the case is, which also is pretty good evidence. So, such a sad case, and Jana's friends and family honor her all the time. They go to like her favorite bar or her favorite places. They sit around, they talk about her, and yeah, so sad. Jana did not deserve what happened to her at all. And this was such like a brutal attack, and yeah, I don't know what was wrong with Britney. I don't know why she did. I mean, I know why she did what she did, but all she had to do was like quit and not come back, and this whole thing would have been over. Like, was Lululemon a retail job really worth killing over a pair of yoga pants? Like, I can't. Like, I really can't. They're only like $100. It's expensive, but I mean, to kill someone over, and if you were gonna lose your job, so what? Move on. There's so many other places to work. Why did you have to kill somebody? Like, girl was just off of her rocker, obviously, because... So the Lululemon store is still open, and they actually did a really pretty like stained glass mural above the door for Jana, like in honor of her. Yeah, like I just don't understand why she killed over a pair of leggings and a retail job. Like, literally, there's so many other places to work in the world besides Lululemon. Like, it was not over by any means. She could have just, you know, if she wanted to steal the leggings, she could have stolen them, went on her way, and that would have just been that. I mean, if anything, she's gonna just maybe, she wouldn't even go to jail for something like that. You have to go to jail like when you $500 to $1,000. So it's kind of like, girl, over a pair of leggings, like, I just don't understand. And that's why I wonder if there was like tension before this, if they fought or something a little bit before, because I'm just like, she just went completely rogue and just like killed her. Like, that was like a crazy crime to just be hurting her over 331 times. Like, that is insane. So it seems pretty personal to me. So I just wonder if there was like problems between them before, but people said they got along, so I don't know. So Britney, homegirl, is in prison, and she's gonna sit there the rest of her days over some yoga pants. So I mean, yeah, she made that decision. That's on her. Oh well. So we don't need her out in the world anyway, because what the hell. Anyways, you guys, if you like this video, please hit the like button. It's a crazy story. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe. Please subscribe if you're new. Also, leave a comment down below, even if you don't want to talk about the case, maybe something about the makeup or really just anything. I really appreciate the engagement and talking to you guys in the comments. It really helps your girl out. You guys don't even know how much liking and commenting is so important here on YouTube to support the creator, and I just appreciate all of you guys that do watch my videos. I know my channel is really small right now, but you know, hopefully one day it'll grow, and I enjoy doing this. So I love getting the victim stories out here and just telling you guys a story, and I'm really enjoying doing the makeup. It's been a while since I really gotten creative with makeup, and you know, anyways, if you guys want to see more of me, I have a second channel, or technically my first channel, down below. It's all mom life and just my life in general, home decor stuff, all of that good lifestyle stuff. So check that out. I'll leave that down below. And if you're new, I really hope you would stick around and subscribe. Hit that bell notification so you know when I upload a new video every single week. I'm going to try to be as consistent as possible. On my other channel, I upload twice a week, so I want to do at least once a week here on this channel. But these videos do take a lot of work and a lot of effort, so please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, okay? All right, you guys, I will see you in the next one. Bye. Also, this glitter, little backstory on this glitter. I haven't worn this glitter in like years. I used to make this glitter all the time when I worked at MAC. I called it like birthday celebration glitter. It's like a whole bunch of glitters mixed together. And it reminds me of like New Year's, and I used to wear it on my birthday every year. And then I would bring like samples to the girls at MAC because they always were like, what's on your eyes? It wasn't a MAC product, so I used to have to be like discreet and be like, it's this, here, you could have some. I made everybody like a sample, and then they would wear it to work, and then MAC would be like, oh, like what is that? And then you would have to kind of lie and be like, it's this, and like grab something off the shelf. But everyone damn near knew it was not from MAC, and it was like a Noel concoction. But I don't know, I love it. It brings back old memories, it brings back celebration vibes, and I love it for New Year's. I don't know, I just wanted to break it out and do this look. But yeah, you guys, let me know what you thought about this Lululemon case. It's a crazy one. Bye, you guys, until next video.